behind schedule, so we didn't get to have much of a pre-chat today, but that is
No.
okay because it looks like we have a lot of content to go over for you all today.
We do?
Mike, what are we talking about today?
We're just going to review Digital New Agent Week because we did it last week.
We did do Digital Agent last week.
3 days of chaos.
Yeah. So if you're familiar, again, if you are familiar with working with senior marketing specialists, the senior marketing specialist is mom and dad to the Medicare Cafe, to myself and Mike. They are the ones that put their names on the checks so we can afford to feed our families. But we, senior marketing specialist, hosted Digital Agent Week, which is something we're really excited about. It's a 3-day. It's actually the 3rd year that we've done it. We do it once a year. It's a 3-day event. Day 1, we talk about how to get the most out of your website. Day 2, we talk about how to get the most out of your social media. And day 3, we talk about utilizing systems and processes on a cloud base, or how to make your life easier using technology and digital means.
So the question I have for everyone is, how many ads per day is the average person exposed to? And this number, I was in shock until I went into further detail on it, because we talked about Digital Agent Week and we talked about having online presence, but I'm thinking about, okay, how effective is it to have an online presence, and what does that look like?
Oh, and that's so true. And just kind of, I know the number is. I snuck a peek ahead. I went completely out of character.
You looked at the slides?
I mean, I clicked through them. Looking through is a strong term, but I did click through them. And honestly, this makes so much sense. The number is flabbergasting, but it's more or less just like flabbergasting.
Nice.
Yes, but it is, I think it just kind of shows how numb we've become to advertising and how hard it is to stick out in the digital world.
So yes, and Brian said, I look great, but the laptop is not doing anything for Olivia.
No.
So in the 1970s, the average person was exposed to 500 per day. In 2007, 5,000, and today they're assuming about 8,000 ads per day, which I was like, that's
a
BS.
Day. Like I imagine, like in a week, 8,000 ads a week sounds right, but in a day,
I thought it was over the top too, until they started talking about, and it's not just an actual commercial. And I was like, there's no way there's 8,000 a day. But when you look at everything going on, paid search ads, in-app banners, video ads, streaming, social media, in-game, email, and the big one was product placement. Like, so when I hold up my iPhone, the fact that there's an Apple on the back of my iPhone, that's product placement.
Oh, so you're advertising. I am not. Well, I guess I'm kind of
advertising Jeep. So all these little cues that you see that remind you of a brand is considered an ad. Like the microphone we have there right there is blue Yeti. So there's a big blue emblem on it. Whenever you see an emblem, that's a subtle form of product placement. TV shows, when they're drinking a Coca-Cola or driving a Chevy or something like that, that's product placement.
I like the interpretive dancing you're doing with it. I feel like I'm
driving and drinking my gin and juice, which isn't product placement because that's generic. Now if I said Bombay and illegal. Smuckers, that's Shelly. That'd be nasty.
So anyways, but again, what this tells me is that, again, people have become so numb to product placement, become so numb to advertisements, that it's really difficult to stand out in a world where they're just being inundated with advertising all day. But it also tells me that if you don't have a logo or aren't doing some form of communicating on a mass basis, not only are you're not standing out in the crowd, but you're forgettable. You will not be first in mind. You have to invest in advertising. You have to invest in brand building and having a logo.
It's funny you say that, because while I was reading all this chaos, they said that our brain is geared to ignore most of it. Like if we see someone drinking Coca-Cola, we don't think, oh, Coca-Cola. We're just trained to think, okay, they're drinking something, no big deal. But the advertisers know that after so many times, your brain's gonna start associating a red can with Coca-Cola. So you might think, yeah, 6,000 is way too much, 8,000 is way too much, but it's that repetitive nature that keeps us going, and it starts to build that loyalty and that brand association in our minds. So if you're not doing that with your logo, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, the big 8 ball. That's a big 8 ball.
How did that come up behind the 8 ball?
Because if you're trying to shoot your ball in pool and it's behind the 8 ball, you can't hit it. And if you hit the 8 ball, I don't know if you lose or it's bad, and it's not your turn to hit the 8 ball. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds good.
Checks out.
So and then give you an idea how important it is to be online. In 2007, when you were seeing 5,000 ads a day, is $16 billion a year spent. Look at that chart. It's just crazy how many billions of dollars, 134 billion in 2019, was spent on online ads.
I would love to see the jump that they made in 2019 to 2020 in COVID-19, where everybody was shoved into their homes and not let out and was roasted in front of our television screens. I would love to see those numbers in 2020.
And that's just Google. That's just advertising revenue of Google, not Facebook, not Snapchat, which still runs ads. Not games. Like if you ever download a game or an app, you see a little banner at the bottom of the application. That's insane. It's insane how much we see in a day, and it goes to the fact of it's easy to get lost in the ads. It's even easier to be forgotten.
Because I wasn't yawning at you.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
It's been a long night.
I live with Megan. She just looks at me and just yawns all the time. Like, are you ever gonna stop talking? And I'm like, I don't think so. It's probably not gonna happen.
But as you're saying.
Oh, but if you're not out there, you will be forgotten. Just period. You will 100% be forgotten. And the fact that you sold someone insurance as an insurance agent isn't a magical moment in most people's lives. It's an expected outcome.
Absolutely. And we use the gas station analogy. Just because you go to a gas station, you get gas, you don't tell everybody, you don't remember that experience. It takes something extraordinary. Take something awesome.
Extraordinary.
Like anyways, myself. No, let's calm down.
No,
but something again, I think, I had a point. There it goes. Okay.
So yes, and that's, if you think you have a relationship with your clients and you talk to them once a year, that's not a relationship. Sure. That's a salesmanship.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm calling you so hopefully you buy more crap from me, as opposed to keeping that ongoing relationship all throughout the year. And this is where you could really come above all of these billions of dollars of ads, because you've got a personal connection with that person, and you need to embrace that. And I think that's really where your CRM comes into play, by grouping your people in like interests. That's where your social media comes into play, being local and you know a little more about the area than say United Healthcare, Mutual Fund or anyone else. That's where all these things come into play, as your relationship that no other brand can say they have with your clients.
But also just keep in mind too, relationship is only going to go so far. And I remember the train of thought back in the station.
There it is.
Back in the station. So what I was thinking about, it plays into exactly of this. Relationship is a lot, but you cannot rely that strongly on a relationship. It's the same reason why McDonald's is the #1 fast food joint. Everybody knows the Golden Arches. However, they will always have not telephone. Can you imagine McDonald's cold calling people? They will always have newspaper ads. They will always have magazine ads, Facebook ads, billboards. They will always have advertisements going on. You can be the one-stop shop. We see this a lot. Actually, it's interesting. Most of our top agencies are actually in small towns because they rely and have the ability to build these relationships.
Yep.
However, thanks to the rise of call centers and convenience-based enrollment, we cannot rely so hardly on our relationships. You have to continue to stay top of mind, just like McDonald's does. You cannot continue to rely on those, but it does absolutely help.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said that a lot of our top producers are actually in small towns. I think that local presence makes a big difference. When I'm dealing with somebody that knows the grocery stores and knows the local doctor's offices and knows all these things, it creates that much more personal connection. But it's easily taken away when you have multi-million-dollar campaigns.
Well, think of it like this. Okay, so let's just put it in a different perspective. Look at providers, doctor's offices, specialists, things like that.
Yep.
It used to be that people who were Medicare eligible were die-hard loyal to that provider.
Yes.
They would do, that's why a lot of Medicare Advantage plans were not sold in the early years, is because if that doctor was not a network, it was a no-go.
Yep.
There was very strong loyalty.
Yes.
You're now seeing a switch in that due to the baby boomer demographic. They are a convenience-based demographic. They value customer service, and they value convenience above any other demographic. You're seeing that, and that's being valued more so than loyalty. So we cannot, like I mentioned, relationships are not going to cut it anymore. You have to stay stay top of mind, you have to stay convenient, and you have to continue to use that value add. Relationship's not going to cut it anymore.
So let me ask you this, and anyone that's listening, when it comes to over the phone sales, you know, a couple of years ago, eHealth Insurance, which is one of the largest in the nation, yeah, they said,
they
own
Medicare.com.
Yeah.
They're the largest telephonic
Yeah, they're huge.
sales.
I think they have 5 call centers around the country and giant call centers. But they were saying that, we're not seeing the impact of outbound calls anymore. We're dumping a lot of money into online advertising.
Absolutely.
Because we need because we're calling and people are getting smart. All the seniors now have smartphones. They see a number pop up they don't recognize, and they, I'll let it go to voicemail and check it later. That's becoming a norm, and the call centers are going, you know what, we're just going to self-generate leads. And I don't know if anyone listening has had the same experience trying to do over the phone sales of having, I don't know this number, I'm not going to answer it, I'm going to go to voicemail.
Well, let me just explain it, think of it this way.
Yes.
People who are targeted for fraud, people who are targeted to say, send me money, I am your cousin in Nigeria, and I am also a prince.
I'm a prince. I only need $10,000 to give you 20 million.
Exactly. The demographic who was affected the most by that, who are the most gullible, are actually a demographic that's dying out. They're the demographic that is not used to technology and is not used to the unwritten rules and social rules of communicating online.
Good point. Yeah.
So that being said, it's a hard thing whenever the baby boomers who are used to dealing online, who are very protective. The baby boomer generation is also the generation that questioned everything.
Yes.
So it's a lot more difficult. Hackers and people are having a lot more difficult getting people of the baby boomer generation into fraudulent activity, which is a great thing. However, if you are somebody who is selling over the phone, it's going to be so much more difficult to overcome that trust barrier, because they're not going to give their banking information over the phone. They're not going to give their Medicare number or their personal information, especially on an outbound call.
Yes.
That is why there's being so much money and so much activity drawn to getting them to call in, because when it's their decision, they make a decision to call in to a service, then you don't have to overcome that trust barrier.
That's why you get Joe Namath.
Exactly. And that's why Joe Namath, and everybody's talking about the Joe Namath ad, is because you're absolutely right. There is a huge amount of money being dumped into getting people to call them.
Yep.
And we're seeing that happen hugely, and it has been happening for the last 5 years. Again, as the baby boomers were aging into the market. So, yeah.
Well, I was driving down Providence Road in Columbia, and the senior center for the Boone County is on there, and the parking lot was packed.
The senior center parking lot was packed.
So I would say another thing too is building that relationship is everyone's looking to, how can I make it so easy for myself to be in business? How do I just sit at home and collect a check? Well, you know what? I think a lot of, like you said, small town people, they have that small town connections. They're seen in public. They make it known. They go to senior centers. They sponsor Little League teams, which, that's not their clientele. But guess who is? Grandma and grandpa in the crowd looking at the logo on the back of their shirts. So all that plays into it. And that's where, again, your large call centers, they might have Joe Namath, but they don't have that personal local connection. I think that needs to build it up.
You're not going to beat anybody out on convenience. You're not going to beat them out as far as, we can't dump in millions of dollars into advertising. We can't do it. What is your value add? Having an actual relationship, even if you're not in the same town, if you're a telephonic agency or virtual agency, reaching out to them on a consistent basis, calling them to help them set up their gym membership, making sure that surgery went as planned. Having that relationship is you don't have to have that face-to-face content to build that relationship, but you have to have that relationship, because you're not going to beat out United Healthcare, Joe Namath, Medicare.com. You're not going to beat them out of being sane more often.
No, exactly. Oh, wrong keyboard. So, as we talk more about this being relevant online, so this Friday on the Medicare Cafe Facebook Live at 9 o'clock Central, we're going to talk about what makes a good Facebook post.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about you should be active on Facebook. What does that look like?
Oh, for sure. And I think, again, talking about one thing we talked about a lot in the Digital Agent Week was actually setting the expectations. There is a huge difference between advertising, which I would say advertising / marketing, and prospecting. A lot of people want their Facebook Facebook and their website to do prospecting. And that's just honestly the wrong expectations unless you purchase Facebook ads, which is a whole nother level. Your Facebook page and your website is purely marketing, not prospecting. Know the difference, because if you don't, you're going to be really, really frustrated.
Yeah, Jay talks about how the company behind Joe Namath has terrible personalized service.
For sure.
And you're right. You know what they do is they're hiring people for the busy season. So they're half trained, they're on the phone, and they're only there temporarily. They're not, I mean, yeah, they're licensed insurance agents because they're forced to get licensed in this capacity of working in the call center. So yeah, you're not going to get amazing customer service, but you know what you get volume of calls. So they're going to sacrifice that amazing customer service for convenience. And you know what they did? They were convenient. One phone call, I got enrolled. I think it was the right plan, but the person on the phone told me. And they bought Joe Namath as an advertiser, so there's that trust by association. And it works.
Exactly. And keep in mind, call centers spend a ton of money on the upfront, knowing that they're going to actually not make any money on that business until later down the line. Again, it's a whole 100% a numbers game to them. But again, some call centers, and I want to make a very strict line between call centers and virtual agency. Virtual agencies, I love. They're agencies that don't see clients face to face. They do everything over the phone. However, they operate and manage just like an agency, a small town agency that's face to face. Call centers, they don't care if they're selling vacuum cleaners or insurance policies. Right. Everybody gets treated the same way. So just if you are, again, somebody who's working in a virtual agency format and not meeting clients face to face, the number one thing you have to remember and to compete and to show that you are not a quote unquote call center is your retention side of it, is the customer service and the retention afterwards. Call centers is a one and done sale. They'll call you every AEP to make sure they keep that business, but there is really no other retention practice.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how many people worked last AEP in one of those call centers and are still there right now. I guarantee about 80% are gone.
However, that being said, I would say a lot of our really successful agents actually come from call centers. Yeah. Because they have the smile and dial, they have the tenacity and the work ethic.
The discipline.
The discipline. It's really, you can train Medicare, you can train product knowledge, you can train on all that on the customer service, but they have the smile and dial, the work ethic, the tenacity to get a lot of those sales.
They actually work. Yeah. Tom makes a good point.
Yeah, Tom said, and sorry.
So Tom,
thank you.
Tom says in North Carolina, telemarketers are calling about Medicare, and if the person's interested, they'll do a live transfer to an agent. And this is actually very common practice. This is something that's been happening for years and years, is you have an unlicensed person making the outbound call, because they can talk about Medicare in general. They can't talk about
Medicare
specific
Advantage,
Medicare Advantage or give any quotes. They transfer them to an agent, and that agent then takes it from there.
Now, again, that is a type. Yes, call centers do that, but that is an actual type of lead that you can purchase called qualified leads or live transfers.
Yep.
We work very, very closely with a company called Lead Heroes. We actually have a discount with our Lead Heroes. So if you're interested in telephonic leads, come on over, come talk to us. But they have 3 types of leads. That is one of them. So yes, they are very common for call centers, but also any agent can use those.
Yeah, and so it is a great way to do it. I think so. You just have to make sure you're, Brian, he talked bad about Joe Namath. Our agency was built on personal relationships. We've been around since 1931. Wow,
yeah,
Alan, you're
so
old.
Alan, I don't think Alan's been around since 1931. But Alan's talking about the agency was built on personal relationships. They've been around since 1931, and 100%. I mean, having
you said 100%.
That clout is huge, and that your experience in that. By that point, you've built a huge referral source. You've built a huge name for yourself. What I'm saying is the personal relationships aren't going to cut it anymore. Unfortunately, there is no loyalty. Loyalty is getting more and more. Again, the baby boomers are valuing convenience and value more than they're valuing loyalty. So just making sure the same people we were selling to in 1931 are certainly not the same in 2021. So
21 minutes. Someone said 100%.
21 minutes before someone of us said 100%.
Kevin asked, he asked about the recording from last week. We do have a white paper that we could send to you. Give us a call or go to our live chat, and we can send you all our notes. So check that out. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
We did record it's on our YouTube page, on Senior Marketing Specialist YouTube page. But we did record day 1, which was website, and day 3, which was services. We did not push record on day 2. But if you do want to talk about social media, there's tons of training on our website, sms-university.com, or just call our office and talk to our agent resources team. They'll tell you everything you need to know. We also have white papers and everything on our university as well.
Yeah, what about monthly digital email newsletters?
We talked about that a lot on Wednesday, on day 3 of Digital Agent Week.
Yes, 100%. There's 100%. Yes, you should be doing monthly digital newsletters. It's easier than ever to get them done. It's free through MailChimp within the confines of a free membership, but it gives you a lot of leeway. And you're going to get about 18% open rate, maybe only 2 to 3% click through, but guess what? That still builds your brand recognition with that 20% of the people you're sending it to. And hopefully as the content gets better and as it becomes a regular thing, hopefully they'll open it more.
Sure.
So the downside is what's the disadvantage of having a monthly newsletter? A little bit of time that goes into it. There's no other disadvantage.
That's it. And senior marketing specialists, if you have at least one contract with them, they will build your newsletter for you at least once every quarter. So he asked, so you wouldn't use, again, Kevin, again, great question. So you wouldn't use your Facebook page for a call to action. So your Facebook page, there are basically 5 commandments of the Facebook page or having a Facebook presence. We won't go over all of them, but one of them is absolutely no selling on Facebook. If you start to sell, people utilize Facebook for family, hobbies, friends, and cat videos. If you start to try to incorporate sales into that, you will be unfollowed, you will be ignored, and you will not get any likes to your page. Your call to action on a Facebook page, now this is different than Facebook advertising, completely different things.
Yes.
Your call to action on a Facebook page is to get people to like, aka subscribe to your Facebook page. That is your call to action on Facebook. The reason for that is because the purpose of Facebook is to build and maintain a relationship with both clients and prospects on a mass basis. To do that, you have to be in front of them consistently. So getting into like your page will make sure that you are in front of them consistently, again, helping you equate your name to insurance.
It's hard because you know what?
It's very hard.
I don't follow, I have Progressive insurance. I don't follow Progressive on Facebook. Why would I? I have their insurance.
Well,
Who cares?
You know what to expect. You're gonna be saying you can save this much money here. You can do this. I do follow some really fun Facebook pages. I know I follow on Facebook the Dollar Shave Club. I know that they're a business. I know they're going to sell me stuff, but they have funny posts. They have things that make me laugh. So posts that we would recommend for an insurance broker that sells Medicare is going to be things that are related to the senior industry, but are not sales. So things like how to avoid a fall this winter, best general recipes for diabetics, things to do with your grandkids over the summer, things that again will entice people to actively go to your page. And all it's geared towards is for people to get the human side of you, for people to start building that relationship with you. Again, Facebook advertising, when you're actually investing money into using Facebook for leads, your Facebook page is not leads, but you can purchase these through Facebook. That's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, and that's going from addition to trigonometry in the world of Medicare. It's very, very complex. So yeah, I would say think about the Facebook pages you follow. Why do you follow them? And if they're a business, why? And then mimic what works. Humor, informative, motivational, all great things. I've never seen anyone say, you know what really works on a Facebook page? Just hammer down the fact that you sell something and people will come running. It doesn't work like that. People will just, I don't want to be sold any more insurance. Even though they might want dental insurance, they don't want to be reminded that you sell dental insurance. They get it. You can say Medicare has no dental coverage. Here's some simple solutions, or call me. You could talk about dental clinics. You can talk about toothpaste, or maybe not toothpaste, but you know.
Talk about toothpaste. Why not talk about toothpaste?
Yeah, you can talk about denture stuff.
Yeah.
I'd follow.
For sure. Belinda says she actually worked at eHealth in Salt Lake, and they were only concerned with enrollment volume. Get on and off the phone to take the next call. They were always having contests to see who made the most enrollments during AEP. I would consider that a true call center. Again, doesn't matter what you're selling, smile and dial, get off the phone to the next one. There's no service there. A virtual agency, not the same thing.
Yeah, virtual agency is, hey, I'm a real human and I can have a conversation with you. eHealth insurance, that's the main thing with call centers is they're not paid to be on the phone, they're paid to write policies. So if you're spending an hour on the phone with this person, they're like, no, that's not effective use of your time. You need to be on and off the phone quick. You don't care about their grandkids. You don't care about their animals. You don't care about their garden or their knitting or anything else. Sign and move on.
Back of the relationship.
Yeah, and I think that's the downside of many call centers. But again,
there's a lot of downsides to true call centers.
But like Olivia said, it's convenient because most people don't want to spend a lot of time buying insurance.
No one wants to talk about insurance other than the people on this webinar.
Yes.
Like I will
that's
talk
true.
about Medicare with you until we're all blue in the face and just really tired of it. But like you talk to somebody about Medicare for more than 5 minutes, that even if they're actively asking you Medicare questions, they glaze over. Nobody wants to talk about it.
It's almost like buying a car. You don't want to be at the dealership for 4 hours.
No.
You want to go in, say, this is the car I want, this is the price I want to pay, and you want to get out. You don't want to be there forever. And that's the stigma of buying a car, is you're there for a long time. And
don't teach me how the motor works. Just tell me which one I need and let me go.
Yeah, I want that one. I like that color.
Mm-hmm.
So it's as simple as that. But same process in selling insurance. You got to be convenient.
Kevin was asking about what about doing videos on Facebook?
Yes.
Anytime the word video is involved, say yes. Just because your best blog post will always perform less than your worst video. Video is king on social media.
Medicare.
No.
What is it?
No,
that's not going to work?
That would work. That would work. That's a crappy video, but it would work.
One of the funniest videos I saw that had the most likes of an insurance agent was Champ Heron. He lives in Marshall, Missouri.
Yes.
He had one of his kids talk about Medicare. Like he had him in a suit. And this was years ago.
Yeah.
And he did like a little 2-minute video on how Medicare works with his child. It's so simple, a child could do it.
Yeah.
Our child we make it so simple, even a child could explain it. And that got tons of likes because it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. It was informative, but it was a child doing it. So have fun with video, because the best videos are the ones that are entertaining or informative, not boring, like, Ferris Bueller Day Off, like Medicare.
I don't know what's happening here.
That's Bueller. Remember?
I get it.
Bueller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun fact: I've only seen that movie all the way through once.
Why? That's a classic.
I also have never seen
movie.
Weekend at Bernie's.
That movie's garbage, but
Okay.
it's funny if you're somewhat intoxicated when you're watching it.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I've never watched Weekend at Bernie's. I've only watched that one once, and I've never seen Breakfast Club. Anyways. So again, but yeah, so videos are always going to be king. If you really want to step up your
Never seen
Facebook-
Breakfast Club?
I've never seen Breakfast Club.
Oh my gosh.
Or 16 Candles.
See, Megan does this. She'll go, well, that was before my time. I'm like, half this stuff that you watch was before your time. It doesn't matter. I'm like, the telephone. No, okay. She was born in 83.
Anyways, if you really want to step up your Facebook game using video, do Facebook Live.
Yes.
Facebook loves Facebook tools. And so if you upload a video, they love themselves. They're very egotistic. But if you use a Facebook video, perfect, wonderful, do that. I will never say that's a bad idea. However, there are times where I've said, don't upload that video. That's a bad idea.
Yeah,
but for the most part, business related is not a bad idea. Facebook Live, though, the algorithm actually pulls it more because Facebook wants to promote its own tools. It'll also notify people and actually direct them directly to your live if they've liked and subscribed to your page. So Facebook Live is by far the best tool you can use on your Facebook page, followed very shortly behind videos, followed very shortly by Facebook posts.
Yes. So any other questions, comments, concerns? Again, this Friday, we got more stuff.
I didn't realize.
Yes.
Breakfast Club is a classic.
Yes.
I know.
Thank you.
I know. Don't need further proof that I'm worthless. Deborah also, she says, I've never seen those movies either. So
you all need to, I love when people say, well, I'm
Sorry.
too busy watching a movie. And
No,
Megan says that. And I'm like, you've watched Bones 19 times through.
No.
And there's like 9,000 episodes. You're not too busy. You just made other bad decisions.
No, for sure. And I've watched I've watched really horrible movies from that time frame and that kind. I've only watched Dirty Dancing once. But that one, she annoyed me. Baby, whatever. She annoyed
Baby in the corner.
Oh, she annoyed me.
I'll put her in the corner.
Any
Sit there and think
movie
about
where the person calls her dad daddy the entire time is not a movie I'm involved in.
Yeah, my kids don't call me daddy.
No,
I'm just
don't.
No, call me Faja.
No. Douglas says younger generations miss the classics.
Yeah.
Excalibur was excellent.
I haven't seen Excalibur. I don't really remember watching. I know I've seen it.
I've never even
but it's
heard
been
of
a minute.
Excalibur. I'm sorry.
It's been lots of minutes. It's been a few hours, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There are some classic movies out there, but you know what? And that's maybe asking questions on Facebook is another great way to get engagement. Because Facebook,
Facebook, like, what's your favorite?
Yeah, what's one movie that you're embarrassed to admit you haven't seen? So stuff like that's kind of fun because people are like, ooh, that's kind of fun. You know, those are great posts. Facebook will actually grade your posts, not just on likes anymore, but also on interactions. So you want people to actually interact with the post as well.
Arnie says he has a Facebook friend who had a speaking part in Ferris Bueller.
What?
What?
Was it the Bueller guy?
Yeah, I was gonna say that guy's pretty famous.
Stein.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, Ben Stein.
That's awesome.
He's awesome. Yeah, so fun stuff like that. But yeah.
Wait, Brian has never seen a Bond movie. That's embarrassing, Brian. Honestly,
I have seen every Bond movie at least a few times. James Bond is one of my favorite series.
It's a good one. Who's your favorite Bond?
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery is probably mine too. Sean Connery. It's like my chicken not stirred. Yes. Kevin asked another great question. How often should you
post? Excellent question. That's a horrible Sean Connery.
No, that actually wasn't bad at all. Thanks. Okay, so how often should you post on Facebook?
Hourly. No. I'm kidding.
True. People who sell their services for Facebook, people who manage Facebook pages will tell you that you need to post 7 days a week, multiple times a day. Strongly disagree with
that. And keep in mind that only 6% of the people that like your page will see any given post. So remember that it's not like you post and everybody sees it. Only a small fraction sees your post.
I recommend posting 3 to 5 times per week.
Bingo.
Again, and the 3 being the bare minimum, every other day, the bare minimum, and the best times to post, it used to be, you probably done research on this since I have, the best times to post between from 10 to 2, and then after 6 o'clock at night.
And the challenge with that information, which is accurate, but you know, when you say the best post on Facebook, they're talking about general consumers, which are probably you know, people at work. So if you post at lunch hour, you know, you go to lunch, you can finally pick up your phone and scroll through Facebook. Where our clientele, there's no boss over their shoulder saying get off your phone. They can be on Facebook all day long. So for our market, I've heard the argument, it's just post. Just post.
Yeah.
Obviously not in the middle of the night, but you know, maybe earlier in the morning might be better for our clientele because a lot of them are up traditionally up earlier. Maybe still around the 5 o'clock hour. Because don't forget, you're also going after the people that care for your clients. You know, their kids, their grandkids. You know, because their grandkids could easily be in their 30s and 40s, depending on the age of the client. So.
Yeah. So great question, but again, 3 to 5 times
Sean
a
Connery
week.
Does rule, Kevin.
Again, yes. Again, never religion, never politics, never selling on social media. Just keeping that in mind.
Who's your favorite Bond?
I don't know. See, again, I came into that later, so Sean Connery is probably my favorite, followed really closely by Liam Neeson.
What's one movie you could watch over and over and over again?
Ooh, a movie that I could watch every time it's on. It's cheesy. Every time it is on, I'm watching it, and it's Titanic. Every time Titanic is on.
You know the ending.
I know.
You knew the ending before the movie started.
Every time it is on, I am going to watch Titanic.
I'm ashamed to admit this, but I will watch any Blade movie any given time.
Really?
With Wesley Snipes. The movies are so over the top and so cheesy. I just love the cheesy action movies.
What's your favorite movie that you're embarrassed to say is like, what's your favorite like guilty pleasure movie?
Oh, that's a good question. What is it? The Bridges Over Madison County? Is that the one with Julia Roberts? The one where she's yes, the one where
Julia Childs. She was the PBS cook.
Yeah,
she was a big lady.
Well, yeah,
she was like 6 foot something.
Yeah,
she was healthy.
Yeah, she had a hollow leg too.
Did she really?
Yeah, that way she could eat all she wants.
Oh my God, that was stupid. I'm sorry. That was stupid.
No, what's the one with Julia Roberts where she's getting married in the South and all I remember is don't talk about me like I'm not here.
Oh, Runaway Bride?
No. Someone, we need help. The Girl Next Door is from Brian, The Girl Next Door. Liam Neeson
was not. Who am I thinking of? Who was the latest Bond character?
I can picture his face, but I can't remember his name. I need help. What's the movie with Julia Roberts, where she is
Steel Magnolias.
Steel Magnolias. Thank you, Melody. That's my guilty pleasure movie. I like that movie. It's witty. So
Daniel Craig. Thank you, Brian. Daniel Craig's my favorite Bond character.
Okay, I can see that. I like Daniel Craig. There's a new Bond movie coming out soon, I heard.
Liam Neeson was taken.
Yes.
Anyways.
But the problem with Liam Neeson is every movie he does is like pick up Liam Neeson. It's the same movie, just with him. Instead of shooting terrorists, he's shooting, kidnappers. Instead of kidnappers, it's drug lords.
Was Liam Neeson in? Was it Daniel Craig or Liam Neeson in Star Wars? The crappy episodes 1 through 3.
That was Liam Neeson.
That was Liam Neeson? Okay. Yeah.
Star Wars are classics. I mean, those you watch anytime. Even the crappy ones I'll watch over and over again.
So. Yeah. Anyways, so thank you guys for hanging out with Olivia and Mike.
Going brought to you by IMBD.
And I've been recording this the whole time.
We're just going downhill.